Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to our lunch. I'm Tom Cochran, CEO and Executive Director of the United States Conference of Mayors. Our presidents and officers are currently taking part in a major media interview on our priorities, and they'll be joining this lunch soon. I mean, when Diane saw your calls, you go. And so that's where our top three officers are. We begin this program with the U.S. Conference of Mayors' first annual Childhood Obesity Prevention Awards. This is the first time we have held this competition, and I want to give a big thanks to the American Beverage Association for sponsoring the award. The talent pool, there was a lot of people applied. It was deep for this competition. 69 cities submitted applications for consideration, and a panel of 3 independent judges that I don't know had the challenging task of revealing all of the impressive projects and choosing the 6 winning cities. We want to thank all the mayors who applied and who are doing such vital work to fight childhood obesity. Joining us today is our friend who I've worked very closely with in Washington, D.C., Susan Neely, President and CEO of the American Beverage Association. Please join me in welcoming Susan, who will announce our winning mayors. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tom. It is a privilege to share the stage with you. For those who spend some time in Washington, you may or may not know that he's considered something of a legend here amongst those of us who do this kind of work for a living. And again, I'm very privileged to spend some time with him and share the stage with him. And I want to thank you, Tom, and all the mayors. It's a great honor to be here to represent the beverage industry, the non-alcoholic beverage industry, in presenting the winners of the 2012 Childhood Obesity Prevention Awards. On behalf of the association and our member companies, some of whom are with us today, I want to thank Mayor Villaraigosa, Tom again, and all the mayors for your leadership and participation in the program. We're proud to be working with the Conference of Mayors on this important initiative because of the positive impact it will have on families and communities here in our great country. And we're particularly excited to support mayors who are growing community programs centered on meaningful solutions to reducing and preventing obesity throughout the country. We are pleased to be able to highlight initiatives in cities that are designed to encourage healthy weight through a balanced diet and regular physical activity. And I got to read the list of winners along with all of you when the press release has been put out, and was just thrilled with the quality and creativity of the winners. And I understand from the U.S. Conference of Mayors staff who worked on the program that was some very difficult decisions. So thank you, everybody, for your participation, and thank you for the great submissions of ideas that are already making a difference out there. Now let's get to the awards. We're going to start with the runners-up in each category, or as we like to call them, the Outstanding Achievement winners. I'm going to ask each of these mayors to stand and be recognized as I call their name. In the large city category, recognized for outstanding achievement is Houston Mayor Anise Parker for her city's Recipe for Success program. This is called the Rolling Green Market Initiative that supports a van traveling throughout the city to provide produce to neighborhoods lacking access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And accepting on behalf of Mayor Parker today is Houston City Council member Larry Green. Larry, congratulations to you and the City of Houston. In the medium city category, recognized for outstanding achievement, is Las Cruces, New Mexico. Mayor Ken Mayagashima for his Mayor's 5210 Fitness and Nutrition Challenge. which included the mayor traveling to every third grade class in the city to challenge them to do 4 things. The mayor told me today he can't even go into a grocery store now without kids coming up and counseling him on what he should be eating and what he should be buying. So, Mayor, congratulations on the success you've already had, and we look forward to hearing about more success with this award. Congratulations to you. In the small city category, outstanding achievement recognition goes to Patterson, Louisiana Mayor Rodney Grogan for his Mayor Takes It to the Street initiative, which, among other things, will create farmers markets for low-income communities and improve play spaces in the city. Congratulations. Thank you to all the Outstanding Achievement Award winners for your leadership. Now let's move on to the top award winners. Our top award in the large city category goes to Louisville Mayor Greg Fisher for his Mayor's Healthy Hometown Movement program. We hope you'll enjoy this short video on this innovative program.
The Mayor's Healthy Hometown Movement is a way to bring together partners from the private sector, the general community, and the public to address our major health issues here in the Louisville metro area.
It's all about encouraging healthier living, healthier eating, getting people out and about, being active in the community, and basically making healthy choices for their lives. Well, the Mayor's Hike, Bike, and Paddle are spectacular events. We usually have 10,000 people or so participate. We hold them twice a year. It's a great day of physical activity.
We have now approximately 55 restaurants at 75 locations who are providing, at the time that people order their meals, calorie information.
What is this on my foot? A pedometer. They will wear their pedometers. They will count their steps every day. They will learn that 2,000 steps equals a mile. Uh-oh, you all really did good. Good job.
In addition to us having high rates of childhood obesity, it tends to be prevalent in particular neighborhoods and communities, and we're also finding that a lot of that is linked to the types of food that our children have access to.
One of the ways that we're addressing these food deserts in certain parts of the cities is through a program called Healthy in a Hurry Corner Stores, where we're putting fruits and vegetables in food desert areas of town so that we can have better food choices. The Louisville Youth Advocates, which is part of the Shawnee Neighborhood Association, these are kids aged 12 to 18. This is a great group of kids. I've been working with them for over a year.
They're going to create a business venture and actually become providers of fresh produce to our Healthy in a Hurry Corner Store participants.
Right across the street, we have a small community garden, which we'll use to grow produce and put it here. I'm very proud of what we're doing here in the city.
Investing in our young population here is one of the best things that we can do for the future of our city.
As mayor, this is really something that the way you like to see it all come together. I'm very appreciative of this grant.
As you can see, this is a comprehensive program that's really got so many benefits, including engaging young people in leadership activities as well as teaching healthy lifestyles. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Greg Fisher to the stage.
Well, the city of Louisville is really appreciative for that. What's great about this program is it brings together healthy living, youth development, and entrepreneurship at the same time. So it's not just the kids learning about better eating choices. They're actually going to be growing the food with part of our urban garden activity. Then they're selling that to the corner stores, so they're learning all about entrepreneurship at the same time. So multiple benefits. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, we're pleased to award a check for $150,000 to Mayor Fisher, and I should also note that the Outstanding Achievement winners are each taking home checks for $25,000. So it's now good to have cash for all the to support the efforts that they have underway. Well, thank you, Mayor Fisher. And now we will go on to first place in the medium city category, which goes to Allentown, Pennsylvania Mayor Ed Pawlowski for his Fruits and Veggies on the Move program. Let's see what Mayor Pawlowski has going on back home in the Keystone State.
Allentown is a great city. It's a growing city. It's the third largest city in the state of Pennsylvania. We have one of the largest park systems of any city our size in the country, over 1,500 acres of pristine, developed parkland. It's a city that's expanding and growing. It's a city that's on the move. One of the biggest issues that we're struggling with is the fact that 40% of our school-age children are obese. That's higher than both the state and the national average.
Can I see the mountain? That looks great, guys.
The average diet of most our city of Allentown certainly does not include a lot of fruits and vegetables and whole grains.
Let's see the archer going this way.
And so one of the things that we've been trying to do is figure out ways to reduce that childhood obesity rate.
Fruits and Veggies on the Move was an initiative we just launched this past summer.
We have a vehicle that goes out to all the different city parks, providing free fruits and vegetables.
Take two, that's good.
We're trying to really instill them some new values, trying to make wise choices in their eating habits.
These are snackies.
We became recognizable. I don't think there could be a better advertisement for fruits and vegetables than a roving fruit and vegetable truck.
Why are fruit and vegetables important?
What we have discovered is when you give them the opportunity to choose a healthy diet and a healthy snack over something that's not healthy, they will choose the healthy snack every time. We've also expanded play. We've tried to really expand exercise and incorporate exercise into our initiatives. Just to see those kids exercising, playing, is a real treat to behold.
Know it! Good job.
I am so happy that the mayor is supportive of childhood obesity efforts. We are proud of what we are doing, and we want to continue to move forward.
I just want to thank the U.S. Conference of Mayors for choosing Allentown for this year's Childhood Obesity Prevention Award. This grant will help us expand that program, provide more vehicles, more fruits and vegetables, and serve a lot more kids and a lot more communities.
Thank you!
Well, Mayor Pawlowski, please join us up here. I was asking him before the lunch, how do you get kids to take these fruits and vegetables? As a mother, it's always a challenge, and I saw that big, beautiful basket of cherries and realized a lot about presentation and just making it irresistible. So, Mayor Pawlowski, we look forward to hearing your remarks.
Thank you. They actually tried to get me to wear the carrot costume. I said no. I want to thank the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the American Beverage Association. This is a real treat for us. We have, as it was said in the video, we have 40% of our youth that are either overweight or obese. That's higher than both the state and national average. Obviously, it's a path to a lot of diseases as they get older, heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes. And so we wanted to attack this head on. We looked at a variety of approaches, and we had a great health bureau staff that worked with a number of different partners in our community, our health agencies. One of the directors of our biggest health agency, Lehigh Valley Health Network, is here, Ron Swinford. Thank you for all your help and your efforts in this in helping us to curb obesity in the city of Allentown. And we've made a difference. We're starting to make a difference on almost every front. So this grant will go to help us expand that program, and I really want to thank U.S. Conference of Mayors and the American Beverage Association. It's a great treat for us, and it'll help make a lot of healthy kids in Allentown for many years to come. So thank you so much.
And the winner in the medium city category will take home a check for $120,000. And finally, the top award in the small city category goes to Lima, Mayor David Berger of Ohio for his Healthy Living Hubs program. Let's take a look at this video for this program.
A food desert is a community where there is little or no access to healthy food, no grocery stores.
People now have to get in a car and drive miles in order to be able to access that kind of quality of food.
A lot of the food that's consumed is high in calorie, low in nutrition, and that is something that we're trying to combat here in this community.
Today we're having kiwi. 3 to 4 times a week. The children have a healthy fruit or vegetable snack in the classroom.
These things are delicious.
We want them to experience fresh fruits, to understand the nutrition that comes into those choices. They get to touch them. They get to feel them.
In my conversation with those kids, I know that they're also taking it home. They're talking to their parents. They're talking to their grandmothers and grandfathers. Lima City Schools have also focused on making sure that kids have the opportunity to learn about exercise.
Because if they feel better about themselves and they're exercising, we're going to have happier, healthier children, and that's going to make this whole community better.
We have some pea seeds here. We could plant them in the dirt.
This grant will be a very good effort to help us to help our kids to stay healthy so they can live long and healthy lives.
Very good.
They are very high in vitamin A and C.
We're hoping to address the issue of food deserts, providing a mobile unit that can get the foods around to those neighborhoods that need them and do it in a regular and routine way so that people come to expect it and rely on it.
We're working with our YMCAs, West Ohio food banks. We're working with hospitals. So many pieces are coming together to put this community forward.
We've come together as a team to solve this issue. It's an issue that I think has long-term consequences, and I think the energy, the enthusiasm that's there tells me we're headed in the right direction.
Mayor Berger, would you please join us up here? And congratulations to you on a terrific program. When we were talking earlier, he said they had just begun developing a strategy to address this need in their community, and suddenly the announcement came about these grants, and they thought it was the perfect way to jumpstart the effort. So congratulations, Mayor Berger.
Thank you, Ms. Neely. Well, it is a delight to be here today to accept this award on behalf of really the entire community. Actually, the spark plug in all of it was not my office, but rather our YMCA, who brought us together, the hospitals, the public health agencies, the city, and others. And this summer, we actually came to Washington for a long conversation about this whole issue of healthy lifestyles and obesity. And fundamentally, the data shows, not just in my community but across the country, that our children, the next generation, in fact will have lives of less quality from a health perspective than we've lived. And that's the first time in American history that I think we can assert that. And that's a stark reality that we all need to take stock of and make some decisions about with our own organizations and also with our communities. So the timing of this award is absolutely terrific. It gives us the opportunity to take to the next level the kind of initiatives that push this education and food items right out into those areas of our community that would not have access to them, but also to create a broad public message about the consequence of doing this as a long-term, committed endeavor on the part of Lima and our neighborhoods. So thank you to the American Beverage Association. We very much appreciate the generous award.
And Mayor Lima will take home a check for $100,000 to help further his great program. Well, in closing, just congratulations again to all the winners. Thank you for your leadership, for what you're doing for the children in your communities to help fight and prevent obesity. And we just thank everybody who participated in making this inaugural program such a success. We look forward to working with you to develop and highlight programs that will have a meaningful and lasting impact on childhood obesity. We'd like to showcase the learnings from these winners and those that come in the future so that everybody can benefit from these best practices. And I'll just conclude by saying thank you for allowing us as the American beverage industry to have a small part in supporting your great efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan, and congratulations to all the mayors who won. I also want to recognize Susan had some mayors helping guide us on this program. Two past presidents, Mayor Doug Palmer and Mayor Manny Diaz. Could you stand up, please? Just want to acknowledge and thank them for their help. I want to give a shout out to Paul Helmke, former president of the Conference of Mayors. And also, Don Board is here. He's the director of the National League of Cities with his president, Mayor Ellis. Thank you very much. Our president has returned, and so I'll now turn it over to Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, our president of the United States Conference of Mayors.
Yes. Well, first of all, let me share with all of you that Mayor Nutter and Smith were with us at the press conference earlier that some of you attended. They'll be here in just a moment. We were just on ABC with Diane Sawyer, and I can tell you that the message is the message that every one of you have brought to Washington, D.C., and that is that the Congress needs to do its job. They need to invest in job creation and move this economy along. So with that, I get the honor of introducing a friend of mine. I'm very pleased to introduce Arianna Huffington, a L.A. native, by the way. Has lived there at least a couple decades. And, you know, mayors, they don't elect a mayor of the blogosphere. But if they did, I can tell you that Arianna Huffington would win going away. Yes, she would. She's hard-charging and visionary. She's the president and editor-in-chief of the Huffington Post Media Group. Her columns can be read in publications across the nation and indeed the world. And if that weren't enough, she's authored no less than 13 books. Now, in recognition of her status as one of the country's and even the world's most innovative thought leaders, Time magazine named her to the list of the world's 100 most influential people. Not just once, but twice. Today's a great opportunity for us to hear from someone who's led the media charge to focus our national conversation on issues related to the middle class and jobs. She's here with us to discuss what role mayors who drive our metro economies should be playing in the current national policy debates. Please join me in welcoming Arianna Huffington.
Thank you so much, Mayor Villaraigosa. Thank you all so much for inviting me to be with you today. Let me just say that I have been obsessively checking on Foursquare, and I'm now the mayor of the Mayor's Conference. But not to worry, it's not been too long, so power has not gotten to my head yet. But I'm glad to say that I'm not the only one here with an accent. Already I met a few other mayors, real mayors with an accent, which made me feel really comfortable because ever since, I moved from Greece, where I was born, to the States, and even before that to England, I had this issue with my accent until I met Henry Kissinger. And he said to me, you can never underestimate the incredible advantages in American public life of complete and total incomprehensibility. I want to start by saying something about Mayor Villaraigosa. I met him before he was mayor, when he was actually a speaker in the California Assembly in 1999. And interestingly enough, we're both on a panel organized by United Way that had just brought out a report called A Tale of Two Cities about what was becoming in Los Angeles the major problem of childhood poverty, homelessness, etc., in the middle of a booming prosperity. And at the time, I remember Antonio saying that if you want a future, I'm quoting him, where you have to walk around with a bodyguard as the wealthy do in Rio, then continuing to ignore the poor is the way to get there. Now, the irony is that that was 1999. In 2012, things are infinitely worse, and things are much better in Rio. In fact, Rio is experiencing amazing upward mobility, while we are experiencing amazing downward mobility. Indeed, a report just came out that shows that America is 10th now in upward mobility, behind Spain, behind the Scandinavian countries, behind France. Now, being behind France in upward mobility is a little bit like France being behind us in croissants and afternoon sex. Not a very good idea. Indeed, right here, very close by to where we are, in Anacostia, we are experiencing the nation's highest unemployment rate for an urban area at 25.2%, right here. A stone throws away from the White House. In Detroit, as I'm sure many of you here know, a quarter of its population has gone in the last 10 years. And at the same time, if you look at education as the escalator that allows us to live the American dream, we are having college kids burdened with over $1 trillion in debt by the time they graduate. So, as we're looking at our media obsession with the presidential race, I have asked our reporters, and we now, together with Patch, which is our hyper-local initiative, have over 1,500 reporters around America. And I have asked them to focus on that other America, to focus on what is happening to our poorest communities, what is happening to suburban poverty. In fact, today we have a great story about what's happening in South Carolina, in Marlborough County, that's experiencing double the national unemployment, while the candidates are in South Carolina talking about all sorts of things except poverty. We want to put the spotlight on the least among us, which is, after all, what the Bible is asking us to do. And we now have the ability to bear witness through online media. At the Huffington Post, combined with AOL, we have over 135 million unique visitors a month. So we'd love to invite you to participate. We'd love to amplify your amazing voices, because you know right now what is happening better than anyone else in your own communities. So I would like to invite you to either write for your local patch. We created today a special email address just for you, mayors@patch.com. You can remember that, right? Or for the Huffington Post, I'm going to give you my personal email address, Ariana, very easy, 1 R, 2 N's, @huffingtonpost.com. And we'd love to hear your voices, to feature prominently. Antonio has been a frequent blogger, and we love to give millions of others the opportunity to find out what you know firsthand, because there is no substitute for that. And to have a national conversation that can touch our hearts awaken our empathy, and expand our circles of concern, because there is really a race against time at the moment about what country we're going to become. Not just economically, but spiritually. Are we going to become a country where we are turning on each other, where we are afraid of each other, a country where we are paralyzed and polarized as our leaders are here in Washington, D.C., or are we going to tap into what is best in us, into what Abraham Lincoln called the better angels of our nature? And when we tap into that, there is absolutely no problem and no crisis that we cannot overcome. And I speak as an immigrant to this country. I know that we know how to do it. So as everybody's talking about our deficits, I would love to spend a couple of minutes to talk about our surpluses. Because, I was born in Athens and lived in a one-home apartment, but my mother, whom Antonio met over a great dinner at my home that she had cooked and a great bottle of red wine, remember, Antonio? My mother was always focusing on our abundance, even when we had nothing. She would say, you have an abundance of skills and talents, and we just need to tap into that, and everything will come right. And right now, we need to change the conversation and put the spotlight on our surpluses, on our abundance of talents, gifts, and resources that are going underutilized. Even among the people who are out of work, we have a lot of skilled people out of work. And even the people with no skills have time on their hands. How about if at the local level, we can tap into time and resources to help each other? After all, we did it during the hurricanes. Remember during Hurricane Irene, how everybody came together, everybody pitched in, and we came through it by mitigating the economic and destructive impact. Now, why do we have to wait until there are natural disasters or external threats before we tap into that very American spirit? And also, as trust is eroding in our national institutions, trust is growing in our local institutions. So your role is more important now than ever. And that's why I was so grateful that you invited me to be here, because I've been writing and thinking a lot about what we in the media can do to put the spotlight on all the creative, innovative solutions that you are working to materialize in your own communities. I'm reading about them, our reporters are collecting them, but with your help, we can actually create a much larger conversation that can begin to change the country fundamentally. In TechCrunch, one of our sites, John Bershk wrote over the weekend that mayors should look at their cities like a startup. He said, the ingredients for a successful startup and a successful city are remarkably similar. You need to build stuff that people want. You need to attract quality talent. You have to have enough capital to get your fledgling ideas to a point of sustainability. And you need to create a world-class culture that not only attracts the best possible people, but encourages them to stick around even when things aren't going so great. So, at the Huffington Post, we now have 3 sections to cover all the good stuff happening. One of them we launched last week, and we are calling it the Good News section. So if you have any good news, however small, please share it with us. Because, as people go to the front pages of newspapers and their television, it's all full of bad news, who killed whom, and which country's credit rating was downgraded. How about going to the HuffPost Good News section and you only read examples of the human spirit at work? And then we also have a section called Impact, which gives people a lot of ideas of how they can help and what they can do. And the final thing that we have is a feature that we started called the Greatest Person of the Day. So if there is anybody in your community who you want to profile, that you want to give more attention to, please have somebody on your staff send us their story. And we would love to profile them. We would love to put more spotlight on them, because that's the way to encourage others to get involved. 2012 is really, as Time magazine put it, the year of the protester. Bottom line is the year where we recognize that it's at the local level that solutions are going to come from. It's the end of the illusion that the country is going to be transformed from the White House. Whether you're a liberal or a conservative, a Democrat or a Republican, isn't it time we realize that the country is going to be transformed from our communities? The people know that, which is why, according to the latest Gallup, only 17% of Americans were satisfied with the way things are going. And I look forward to hearing the majority leader, but 2011 ended with Congress having an 11% approval rating. So this is your moment. More than ever, this is your moment. And I really believe that as we're looking at what you can do, as we're looking at what happens whether during hurricanes or the Second World War when 20 million vegetable victory gardens were planted, wouldn't that be good also for your anti-obesity program? So whether we are barn raising or barn maintaining or planting vegetable gardens or helping each other in innovative ways, using social media, using Code for America that, as you know, is now bringing technical professionals to help cities, or individuals creating a project that I love called seeclickfix.com, where they have people actually report any street lamp that's not working, any pothole, and others come in and help. There is so much innovation, so much creativity, so much ingenuity, and this is really the moment to come together and create that critical mass of cities, municipalities, towns, communities coming together and transforming our country. And we are looking to you to lead us, and I'm really excited to be here to offer a partnership with us to amplify all the great work you're doing. Thank you so much.
Mayors, I thought we might take the opportunity to take some questions from Ariana. Any questions?
You have one?
I have one. Yeah. You mentioned the innovative things that mayors are doing around the country. Share with us some of the things you think the Congress ought to be doing right now to put people back to work. Our number one goal is focusing on the economy, and as you said, they haven't done a whole lot in that regard.
Well, absolutely, and I know this is very dear to your heart, Antonio, but I believe that there is absolutely no excuse for not having a great public-private infrastructure program. I mean, our bridges, our infrastructure is crumbling. Even if we were at full employment, we would need an infrastructure program. So there is absolutely no justification for not having one when the country is experiencing those high levels of unemployment, including among the manufacturing sector. I was recently flying to Sao Paulo in Brazil because we are launching the Huffington Post there. And with me were two hedge fund managers. And I said, what are you doing? I said, we're going to Sao Paulo. They said, because we are partnering with the government to build their infrastructure. I said, what's wrong with partnering with the government here to build our infrastructure? And you know what is interesting in Brazil is that whether you talk to the richest Brazilian, Eric Batista, or a labor leader, they have an identical objective, which is to move people out of poverty into the middle class, because they believe this is the way to build a stable prosperity, an economy that's really working for everybody, and a stable democracy. So I don't understand why these issues are in our country seen as left versus right. That's another thing that at the Huffington Post we don't use as a way of describing what's happening, left versus right, because it's another way to polarize us instead of recognizing that so much of what we all want, strengthening the middle class, good schools for our kids, being able to ensure that our children do better than we do, are things we all want, wherever we are on the political spectrum. And I think that's what Congress needs to understand. But, at some point, I believe we need to realize that we need to look in the mirror, discover the leader in the mirror, as you all did in order to run for office, and just do what we can ourselves. Because there is only so much time you can spend begging. There is a Greek philosopher called Diogenes, and he used to go around begging from statues. And at one point, somebody stopped him and said, "What are you doing, begging from statues?" And he said, "I'm practicing disappointment." So I think we've all practiced disappointment enough. And I believe that if we focus on what we can do ourselves, we can actually change the climate in this country. And then others will follow, others here in Washington, D.C.
Mike is on its way. Mayor Polito from Santa Ana, California.
Thank you, Mayor Villaraigosa. You are offering us something absolutely extraordinary today in terms of how we can use this to impact public opinion and share good news, et cetera, et cetera. One of the areas that many of us deal with is energy, and the fact that unfortunately it's gotten coupled with global warming. And everybody immediately starts saying, well, do you believe, do you not believe? And those of us that are just trying to make a difference, we're just trying to install solar in our communities, we're trying to get community gardens, we're trying to have mass transit, we're trying to do all sorts of good things. And very often we're just told no because, here in Washington, this whole global warming has just killed everything. There's no energy bill, there's no climate bill, there's no green block grant, there's just a whole things that aren't there. I'm just wondering, how could we work with you, because you reach so many people, that we could decouple some of these things and focus on projects that we know that work, that we know that create jobs, that we know that make a difference, and get that out to folks so that we start turning public opinion around. There's obviously a disconnect here, and you are the connector.
Well, we would love to do that, and we can do it at multiple levels. We can do it at the very local patch level. There are many patches in your area. These are our hyper-local journalistic initiatives that are really about 40,000, 50,000 people. So it's really local with a professional journalist. And then we can move to our local cities, in Los Angeles, in San Francisco, and then nationally, and even internationally, because a lot of these issues affect everybody. And then putting the spotlight on the projects you are describing, whether it's the community gardens or the solar system or something that has demonstrable results. And then people can see that whatever they may think theoretically, here is something that is working. And when people see results, I think we can really change public opinion. I really believe fundamentally that we can change hearts and minds. We've done that throughout history, right? How did we move towards a more perfect union?
I believe that as well. And just one specific example for you. We are in our committee today talking about how you can go to the supermarket and there can be apples from all over the world, none of them from California. If we could coordinate such that local farmers could bring products to market in these pods or patches that you're talking about, that saves energy, it creates jobs, helps the environment, et cetera, et cetera. Any thoughts on that as an example?
I love that. Anything that can demonstrate the power of what supporting the local community can do. And also at the same time, we can play hardball. Because there are also certain laws, as you know, in the state of California and many other states, in the books, that are to deal with shelter crisis. And why not actually use these laws to declare an emergency when you have shelters overflowing? I just actually did some research because we're going to be covering this exhaustively on the Huffington Post. And according to the law in the statute books in California, I'm reading from the statute book, if a significant number of persons within the jurisdiction of the governing body are without the ability to obtain shelter, you can declare a state of emergency. How about that, guys? Over 1 million children are homeless in California. Isn't that a state of emergency? A quarter of the homeless people in the United States, in fact, still live in California, including almost 500,000 homeless children. I really, frankly, do not believe that if the American people really knew these facts, not just read them, but really were told the stories of what it means to be a homeless child, they would care. I totally, profoundly believe that. And look at what happens when one child is supposed to be in a balloon. Remember the balloon boy? Remember how we all obsessed for days, even after we knew he was not really the balloon boy, he was the attic boy? It was still breaking news with that floating balloon. So I have an idea. What about if we construct a big balloon and we pretend, we don't even have to put them in, we pretend that we put in the homeless children around the country? Do you think we could get some media attention? The point is that we need to use all the means at our disposal. The existing laws, spotlighting the good things, anything we can do to change the conversation from all the superficialities of the campaign, which is becoming like a reality show, with another contender dropping out every week, to actually what is the real crisis that people are experiencing and that you know about firsthand, because you are seeing it firsthand every day.
Speaker Pelosi's here. I want to thank you very much, Ariana Huffington. Thank you. Put together. Let's get a photo. Well, Ms. Huffington has made a call. All of us can link up with our neighborhood patch and blog and tell our stories and the story of America's cities on Huffington Post. Thank you very much, Ariana Huffington. I'm now very pleased to introduce, I understand she's in the house, my good friend, the friend of cities all across the nation, Nancy Pelosi, Democratic leader of the House. Now, I don't use friend lightly. Every single time we come to Washington, D.C., we ask for a meeting with Nancy Pelosi. We get it. Every single time that we've come to Washington, D.C. with a problem, Nancy is working with us to find a solution. Every single time we've said it's time for the Congress to act on the issue of jobs and economic development, she has been there right along our side. Please help me in welcoming my friend, our friend, a woman who is with us in Baltimore, whose dad was a mayor of Baltimore, Tommy D. Alessandro, a great leader for America, Nancy Pelosi, the Democratic leader of the House.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Mayor Villaraigosa, for your generous introduction, for your service to the City of Los Angeles, for your great leadership as president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. You know, when I come here, when we were in Baltimore last year, I said it was like coming home. I hope that the great mayor of Baltimore is here. I don't know. Stephanie Rawlings-Blake, Madam Mayor, good to see you again. We're very proud of our mayors. The city I was from, Tom Cochran knows that not only was my father the mayor of Baltimore, but my brother was mayor of Baltimore. All of my brother serving with Tom for many years. Isn't Tom wonderful? Aren't we blessed to have his service? It really is great to be here with all of you. This is really an important time. I want to thank Mayor Villaraigosa for his leadership in putting the U.S. Metro Economies Report, which all of you worked with, to the fore. It outlines the challenges facing not only local governments, but our entire nation. The urgent need to create jobs, to strengthen the middle class, and to restore fairness and growth to our economy. You have brought to the U.S. Conference of Mayors, Mr. Mayor, your advocacy on behalf of strong transportation initiatives that are part of this metro's economy in our transit systems, roads, highways, infrastructure, broadband, to put Americans to work. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for honoring us in San Francisco by being present as a friend and as the president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors at the inauguration of our new mayor, newly elected Mayor Ed Lee. And Mr. Mayor, Ed Lee, the first Chinese-American mayor of San Francisco. This is quite a remarkable thing. We're very proud of him. I was just with him, so he's probably taking the longer route into this room. But at that time, and you will tell him I said this, Mayor Lee's words that day inspired all San Franciscans. And he summed up the approach of mayors nationwide when he said, he spoke of confronting challenges, taking risks, and embracing innovation. To your vice presidents, Mayor Nutter of Philadelphia, to Mayor Scott Smith of Mesa, Arizona, to all the mayors gathered here today at the head table and in this room, thank you for bringing the voices of your constituents to our nation's capital. Every year, when America's mayors gather in Washington or wherever you do across the country, when you come to Washington, you bring with you the hopes, the aspirations, and the priorities of the American people. When you speak, Congress and the President listens, because mayors confront our country's challenges at the ground level. As was mentioned, my father and my brother were mayors. I know firsthand there is no buffer between a mayor and his or her constituents. Every day, Mayor Kautz and I have talked about this, every day you hear the stories of unemployed workers, your parents struggling to make ends meet and what they need to care for their children, pay the bills, and put food on the tables. Every day you see the impact of policies made in the Capitol, in state governments, and in your own city halls on the lives of working families. Mayors recognize that investments in our cities, in education, in job training, clean energy, infrastructure, transportation, affordable housing, community health centers are investments in our common future. And you know better than anyone in our country what's best for America's cities, large and small, is best for America. That's why when I talk to people in the private sector and in the nonprofit sector, and these leaders say to me, what's the best way we can put our resources philanthropically to make a difference in our nation's future? I always say the same thing. Talk to America's mayors. They have a vision, they have a plan, they get things done. The agenda of our nation's mayors, as you well know, has served for a long time as a blueprint for Democrats in Congress. That remains true today. Democrats have made a firm promise. We are committed to reigniting the American dream, the most enduring theme in America. Reigniting the American dream. People flock to cities to realize their dreams by building ladders of opportunity and removing obstacles to success for all who are willing to work hard, play by the rules, and take responsibility. We must rebuild our nation's thriving middle class, and we can do that by rebuilding America's infrastructure. Right, Mr. Mayor? We can't work, and we have work to do. I know from last year, many of you wrote to me after, I saw you after, and were involved in the infrastructure issue. I'll talk more about that in a moment. We in Congress, Democrats, are focused on you, on the core priorities of creating jobs, as you are focused, strengthening, expanding small businesses, and growing our economy. Right now, that means, right now, as you gather here, right now, that means fighting to extend the payroll tax cut for the rest of the year for 160 million Americans, for extending unemployment benefits for millions of Americans who have lost their jobs through no fault of their own, and to ensure that tens of millions of seniors can see their doctors under Medicare. But let me just say this, because I want you to know this. This is all happening now. Democrats are saying we've never had to, the Republicans have resisted, they have a double standard. They have resisted paying for tax cuts for the wealthiest people in our country, but they insist that tax cuts for the middle class be paid for. We're saying let's pay for that by if you want to pay for it, let's pay for it with a surcharge on the wealthiest people in our country so that 160 million Americans can have that tax cut, inject demand into the economy by spending that money and creating jobs. We've never paid for unemployment insurance benefits, for extending unemployment insurance benefits. They're saying now that we have to do that. We have to make that fight, or else that surcharge is going to have to pay for that as well. Because we're not going to give to the middle class with one hand and take from them with another by saying you're going to get the tax cut, but seniors are going to have to pay more for Medicare or whatever. And then the seniors, and they're seeing their own doctors under Medicare. This is really important. And we want to solve this issue once and for all. It's really important to the doctors, to their patients, to the families of our seniors. We can do that by using the war savings to pay for it entirely and end the discussion. What we call SGR is paid for and done. So that's where we are. We're saying a surcharge on the wealthy can help cover these costs. Using the war savings can remove all doubt that seniors can see their doctors. That's the fight that we are in. If the Republicans don't like a surcharge on the wealthiest people in our country, which, by the way, yields $200 billion, they can come up with some other things. We're happy to talk about ending subsidies to big oil, having the Secretary of HHS negotiate for lower prescription drug price. You know, there are things that we can talk about, but the surcharge is the easiest, the cleanest. You come at a time when that's the fight that we are in. The U.S. Conference of Mayors has laid out its vision and its priorities. As always, it starts with jobs. We recognize that our national recovery depends on the success of our cities. And working with you, we must pass jobs bills that put people back to work in our communities. Now, some of our people have never been to work. So we need more jobs, additional jobs, so that we're not only putting people back to work, but we have job opportunities for many more people. Democrats' agenda starts with the ABCs, in our view, of job creation. American made. Make it in America. It's not to be protectionist. It's to be self-reliant. A, American made. B, build America. Build the infrastructure of America. And C, community recovery. Let the recovery come from the communities and have the people in the communities create it. We must make it in America, get back to our ABCs, so that our workers and our families can make it in America. We must stop the erosion of our manufacturing base, again, not to be protectionist, but to be self-reliant. We must support our small businesses and entrepreneurs, the engine of our economic growth, providing incentives for them to hire new workers and ensuring that those businesses can thrive and grow. In recent months, Democrats, in light of the President's American Jobs Act, we reached out to thousands of small business owners in our districts about the key challenges they face and how the American Jobs Act addressed them. They want access to capital, access to skilled workforce, access to more customers. Our plan addresses these concerns head on, and I commend President Obama for his proposal to reorganize government, which focuses squarely on opening new opportunities and markets to our small businesses, the creator of jobs, creator of capital. To build our middle class, again, we must build the infrastructure of America, with key investments in public transit systems, in high-speed rail, high-speed broadband, in roads and bridges, water systems. Some of our water systems are made of wood and brick. It's a health issue. And, of course, our highways. Mayor Villaraigosa has led the way in Los Angeles with his 30-10 initiative. America's mayors have made a plan called America Fast Forward. We follow what you do. America Fast Forward. We know that supporting these initiatives will create good-paying construction jobs now, spurring our economy today and laying the groundwork for prosperity into the future. On community recovery, with cities facing tough budgets, we must invest in the recovery of our local communities. We must fight to fully restore community development block grants. We might fight for critical support for housing, for economic development, and job training in our neighborhoods to the level of investment that we made when the House had the Democratic majority. So we need your help to work together for the CBDG funding to take it to the level. Now, we have fought and won some of the battle pushing it up, but not to where we want to be. And I thank President Obama for his strong initiative to expand summer jobs for 180,000 young people in cities and communities across our country. But we must do more for the sake of our economic growth and the next generation of our workforce. I congratulate you all, by the way. I wasn't here because of Floor Action on your awards on obesity and the health and well-being of our children. Thank you for your leadership in that regard. It's very, very important. They are our future. So we have passed that legislation in Congress, worked with the First Lady on those initiatives, but thank you for your recognition. Again, we have pushed our proposals, Make It in America, build the infrastructure, community recovery, and some of these proposals are in President Obama's Americans Job Act. We put these ideas on the table time and time again. Americans, as the President said, can't wait any longer. We must act, and we must fight. One way that I need to enlist your support, again, for us to fight is about how our politics is done in our country. Today, we must fight for fairness, equality, opportunity, not just for some, but for all Americans, to protect the voices of the Americans you represent against the power of special interest in Washington and nationwide. That's why we must continue our drive for clean campaigns. We must fight for a new politics free of special interest influence. We must fight for disclosure to get unlimited secret donations out of politics. Once the bright light of disclosure is placed there, it has a healthy, wholesome impact. That's what we can do now. But when we win the election, not to get political, we must fight for reform. Disclosure, reform to empower small donors and the grassroots to have a greater role in elections, to offset the big secret money. We must fight to amend our Constitution, to overturn the crushing Supreme Court decision that strengthened the hand of special interest at the expense of people's interests. Disclose now, reform with the majority, and amend the Constitution. We must fight to remove obstacles to voter participation right now. We must protect the rights of every citizen to vote and every vote to be counted. We must uphold the cornerstone and core values of our democracy, that the votes of the American people determine the outcome of our elections, not the bankroll of the privileged few. This isn't about the 99% or the 1%. Thank you, Mayor Villaraigosa, for your work on the Poverty Caucus of the mayors. Very, very important in everything that we do, whether it was health care, and we talked about that last year, and Secretary Sebelius made her presentation. We always said that the most privileged person in America benefited by the poorest person in America having access to quality health care. It's very important that we address the needs of all of the American people. So Mayor Lee said in his inaugural address that he would lead a city not for the 99%, but the 1%, but for the 100%. Together, we will lead a nation for 100% of the American people. Didn't his speech remind us of your speech when you were sworn in as mayor, Mr. Mayor? Dream with me, Los Angeles. I could see it in your eyes while you were watching the speech that it sounded like a new mayor. So for us working together to reignite the American dream and preserve the rights of all Americans, we need your help, we need your leadership, partnership, advocacy, and the energy of the mayors to A, make it in America, build our infrastructure, have community leadership in rebuilding America, and having a new politics, as I say, free of the special interest. Only then can we have the fairness in our society that our founders foresaw, and that was part of their vision. So as we rebuild America, revitalize our business, reinvigorate our workforce, restore our prosperity, we must do that right now and for a long time. You know, this weekend, you mayors, I know, understand the urgency of this moment. It's a very important, critical time. We could tip one way or another. And this weekend, as we marked Martin Luther King Jr. Day, imagine this beautiful monument on the National Mall with Lincoln and Jefferson and Roosevelt, all of Washington, Martin Luther King Jr. Pretty thrilling that he is there as a giant of America. And remember the speech that he made, the I Had a Dream speech, but many of us love the part when he talked about the fierce urgency of now. It's become very popular to talk about that, but it's very urgent right now to be sensitive to it. What followed those words about the fierce urgency of now is what I love. This powerful statement, he said, "This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism." The same could be true of the same challenges we face today. Ariana talked to you about the possibilities of the internet and how you can increase communication and the rest of that. We have an expanded opportunity through science and technology and through awareness that technology provides for us to make a very big difference for our children, for their future, for our country. We owe our men and women in uniform who are coming home now from Iraq and hopefully soon from Afghanistan, we owe them a future worthy of their sacrifice. We have the means at our disposal. We have the idealism. We have the Conference of Mayors has its vision. It has its knowledge and judgment about these subjects. It has a strategic plan, and you have a connection to the American people that is unequaled in politics. As you wrote when we gathered here 5 years ago, we need strong cities, strong families for a strong America. That still rings true today. And there is no time to waste, right, Mr. Mayor? No time to waste. We must act now to improve the state of our cities, and in doing so, to strengthen the state of our nation, health and well-being of our children, and to reignite the American dream. Thank you, mayors, for your leadership, for our cities, for our families, and for our nation's future. It's an honor to be with you to bring greetings from the Congress of the United States to this very important meeting. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Good to see you. How you been? Thank you.
Right over here. We're going to take a picture over here before. Yeah, that's yours. That for you. Put you here. Go.
The only thing better would be if she was holding her head. How's that? Huh? That's a better picture. Am I right?
Yeah. Thank you, Don. And then I'm going to take one with her as well. And then one without it. There we go. Thank you. You're the best. I love you. I was saying to the Democratic leader that when I said this conference loves her, that standing ovation has a lot to do with the fact that year in and year out, Nancy Pelosi is there for our cities. Let's give her a big hand again. Tom, we're going to take a short break, right? We're going to have a break and be back. Okay, everybody, the good news, we're going to take a break. The bad news, it's a short break. So we'd like everybody back in their seats to begin the plenary at 2 o'clock on the dot. Thank you.